Hi guys, my name's Sam. I am the Clayberry and welcome to my second YouTube video. I have some designs that I've been working on drawing out so that I can now translate them on clay. So I think we're going to make the mugs for those and I'm excited to show you guys and hopefully we get some good ones today. Alright, so I just wedged my balls of clay. I've got a little music going on. Tonight I'm only going to do 2 or 3 pieces if I'm lucky. It's already like 8:30 tonight. I worked all day. I had to work a little bit late too. And then, take care of the dog, I did some dishes. And so I think I got on the wheel around like 7:30. I did 2 little warm-up pieces and now I'm ready to do my mugs. And so I have fresh clay tonight, which is always a huge help. And so I'm just gonna press down my ball of clay a little bit. I like to get the edges because I have a lot of problems with it sticking sometimes, especially if it's on like a new bat. But I think that's more of a me thing than a bat thing. So I'm gonna turn this on just a little bit and kind of whack it into center. And yeah, I think this is a good starting place, and then I'm gonna let it go around. I will be the first to admit I am terrible at throwing at center on the bat. So I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna get both of my hands wet, and I'm gonna get a little bit, let it splash onto the clay. One of the things I've been trying to play around with is my speed, how much water I use, and just like being more intentional with every time that I touch the clay. And so I think I've recently switched the clay that I use, and this has been like the last week or so. I switched the clay that I use, and I'm gonna be honest, I think it was a very good idea. The clay that I was using before was completely smooth, and I really liked it at first, but it was one of the only clays I'd really used before, and so I never really ventured out. I was like, oh, this is a good clay, it works for me. And then I tried to go bigger, and it was no longer working. One of the other things I like to do is I have 2 cylinder blocks on the side of my feet. I'm really short, my chair is as low as it goes, my wheel is not adjustable unless I want to spend money. And so to make myself a little taller and really anchor myself in, cinder blocks are great. And then I'm also thinking I found a way that actually works for me as far as like centering. I have been playing around with techniques that I've seen, kind of making a combination of what I've used, what I like, what I don't like, and also factoring in that I have tiny hands and absolutely no strength, but I think that that is okay. I'm not going to try to explain how I center because it changes every time. And I'm trying to also accept that right now, and at my skill level, mostly centered, it's good enough. I will spend all night being here if I spend too much time thinking about getting it perfectly centered. And so one of the things I've been doing by using less water is getting a lot of slip on my hands and just dipping one of them in water and then doing this again. And my splash pan has been so much cleaner. It's honestly a miracle because I am the messiest person just in general. Anytime something can go wrong or you don't think anything could go wrong, it happens to me. It's pretty funny at this point though, and I know, I'm just like, I'll stay out of the way. So the fact that I chose a very breakable hobby is kind of funny. And so where I've gotten at with centering, and I'm looking at the mirror, probably not going to look at the camera much, is I'm pretty good about getting the top center. It's this little part right here that ends up causing me a lot of trouble. So if I can't get it, I'm just going to ignore it. We're going to move on. And I also realized I think I was having my wheel a little too slow. So speaking of, I'm going to turn it up just a little bit. That's not bad. I was also having a really hard time just just kind of conceptualizing like how you should put the hole in the middle. And I know that sounds stupid, like opening up the clay. At least to me it sounds kind of dumb. Because they're just like, open the clay, do it in the center. And I'm like, but what happens when you go down? And so I spin the wheel just a slight bit slower. And then I like to have my hands super just smothered in clay. And I've been using my thumb, unless it's a rather big piece, and my index finger. And I'll put a bunch of slip right there. I'll make sure to get my hands wet, I'll get the clay wet, and then I'm just gonna go down right on the center. And then there's a video I was watching that kind of put it in very just like layman's terms. I'm like, okay, I can understand that. Where you see the very center, you're gonna go like right behind that. And you don't wanna pass that line, otherwise you're not in the center anymore. And so I'll normally go enough behind that line. I start getting this little thing, pushing all the clay out. Maybe that's not supposed to be there, but it works for me. It gives me like a point to pay attention to. And so that's what I was having a really hard time before. They're like, just go down. And I'm like, but I can't keep it straight. I have very shaky hands and just, that's not working for me. And so I was really happy when I found that video. I was like, oh, wait, you mean there is a center point that I can pay attention to? And then once I'm kind of like, okay, my thumb can keep going down, but I also can't keep this, I switch to my index finger and keep my hands together. And then I like to kind of keep my thumb on top so that I don't get super thin at the top, because that was also another problem I was having. And I'm gonna go straight down just like I was before. Keep an eye on that little twirly bit, and off it comes. And I just keep it, normally doesn't go this slow, but I'm talking a lot. But this has gone a lot faster for me, and it's keeping it a lot more centered. And it's okay if it's not perfect, I can fix that after. And it's not the end of the world. The pot's not gonna break. It's just gonna be maybe a little wonky. It's probably not even noticeable after. So I just keep going until I get the bottom thickness that I want. I'm gonna leave the wheel as fast as it is right now. And I like to use my middle finger for this, and I kind of just like pull back. My left hand as I keep it on the side so that the clay can't go too far. And I just go straight back. I don't know why I'm giving instructions. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm gonna do the little volcano next, and I'm just gonna squeeze with both of my hands and try to get mostly this clay up, because this is gonna save me a lot when actually pulling. So I go from the sides, and I'm just gonna go up, and then I kind of bring my hands along with it. And it doesn't take a lot of pressure. Like you can see, I take my hands off mostly once I get past that bump. And then I just double check the inside and make sure that's still centered. And then I also take my thumb and kind of flatten down the rim, so I have a lot of clay left over, and it's not like paper thin by the time I get to the top. I really go into this with very low expectations, because I'm pleasantly surprised at the end. Slow my wheel down. One thing that I've been struggling with as far as pulling is, I know I pressed too hard, like right here, because I'm trying to get all the clay to go up, get this huge thin spot, and then it kind of goes, and then it goes, and I am working on that. So let's see how this goes. I'm gonna get my whole piece pretty wet, and I'm gonna make sure I have a lot of extra slip just on my hand. And then we're gonna start. Brace yourselves. So it doesn't look super even right now, but at least we got some of the clay moving. Gonna compress. So I'm just kind of moving stuff. I'm not really pulling because I want to get it even. And then we're going to start pulling. And I'm going to remember not to push too hard right here, because this is always where I fuck up, and you can see I'm getting a little slippy. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna find that spot again. Just touch still, and then right here, I'm gonna start pulling up again. And then slowly on pressure. I will say this is the first real craft hobby that I've always wanted to be more of an artist, but my brain just doesn't know what to make. Alright, so I'm doing one more pull just to even everything out. And this is where I get the soft spot, so I'm trying to be gentle. And then we're going to use our thumb for the rest of this and just kind of follow with my finger. I think that's another thing people don't talk about is like switching methods is okay. I think we should keep this shape simple because I want to do a fun design. I have a problem with also overdoing things, so I think the simpler the better for the actual shape. I also have to start practicing handles again, which I'm not really looking forward to. Eventually I'd like to get where I'm getting it much thinner, but for now, trimming also helps with that. So I think, yeah, I want a pretty straight mug, I think. And then I'm gonna take this board. And you can see how nice and even and smooth it makes it on the outside. It takes a lot of slip off, which is why I don't like to do it every time anymore. But I do make sure to put some of that back on and then get some water. Otherwise, when you use this again, it's gonna drag and it's gonna fuck it up. That's the best way I can say it. As I'm getting closer to like finishing, one of the things I've liked doing is taking one of my fingers and just going, and that's helping. Ignore that part. It's helping me with getting the rim nice and smooth for these cups. What I'm gonna do before I go overboard, I'm gonna wet the bottom a lot, and then I'm gonna take one of my other wooden tools, and I like to put it on this so it can't go too far. So I can get a real idea of what the trim shape will look like. I actually think this is a fun shape. Okay. I think this will look really good with just like keeping it, I'm gonna keep it simple, guys. I don't want to go too crazy. I just want to finish some pieces. And so what I also need to do, slow down the wheel again. I'm gonna leave this guy pretty thick and I'm okay with that. I'm going to take this damp, not wet, and I'm going straight in. This is way better than the size that I was making before too. So I am very happy. My brain hurts. I had to do inventory today and it was through Zoom. And oh my God. We had to recount so many things because I'm just like, I don't know where you're looking at. And everything looked the same. It was stuff in giant crates, and the guy was new too, and this is my second year working on this client. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, but I need you to recount this. He's like, no, it's okay. And then another thing I like to do before we're done is I like to actually go take all this off because I'm gonna leave this on the back for a while, and I don't want too much excess water because I'm already getting some warping on my bats. All right. She's done. That took, I don't have a watch. And I'm gonna pop this off. And we're gonna do another one. Just my little cup. Thank you for being here. Be back soon.